some more of a middle value. Slow, deliberate, lots of pressure, dark stroke, light, very light pressure, very quick stroke, not much of a deposit as far as paint goes. I want to take my rag. I'm just going to clean up a little bit of this cheek over here. There's more light on here than what's showing. So I'm going to pull away some paint. It's okay if I kind of, whoopsie, go outside that space or overdo it. I can always fix it. I think this chin could get a correction, so I'm going to soften that a little bit in here. I want to show some extra light right next to the wing of the nose over here. This turns towards the light just a little bit. So maybe just a little more light there. Definitely some more of that right underneath the eye. That plane faces up a lot. So I'll push a little bit harder, pull a little bit more. So this is the stage at which you have a lot of your painting started. You have some of your placement. You're starting to think about values, not just is it burn umber or is it canvas, but where are the places where I need to really show a brighter white. So like that edge of the nose, that right edge, I don't want that to be too dark. Under the eye and on the cheek is a little bit lighter. It's okay if I go outside that line, I can redraw that easily. Top right side of the eyelid is whiter. Softening a lot of that edge. Now, I haven't messed with the apple for a long time, so a lot of that is dry, and I could probably do a good job of pulling some of this off because it's starting to set up. And if I want to try to make that light side, that light side to me now looks pretty even, and it looks a lot like what I'm trying to make. There's a kind of a reflection area from the yellow up into there. So I'll pull a little bit away. I can always darken that. There's also a little bit of that over here on that side. Maybe I'm gonna give a try at that light there again. Pull away some of this. That's coming over to the edge of the can. More like that. The bottom edge of the can. There we go. That looks a lot better. Highlight there. Light zone here. Bright reflection there. A lot of light reflection down here. There's a reflection in the curve of part of the lid up there that doesn't show up at all. There we go. That front edge is catching light. Maybe a little bit down here in the corner there. This is slightly lighter as it goes down that muscle. Same thing with the middle part of this cheek. It gets darker near the jawline. It gets darker up here where we have the core shadow on the cheek, but in between, it's pretty light. Same thing with some of this hair and the ear. It's reflecting. You guys can't see it because it's just right around the corner, but it's reflecting quite a bit. This is a nice soft. I want to push some of those edges just a little softer. Yeah, so that I felt like was helpful. It's bringing it some different values of the light, and that gives me more room to like make things a little bit darker if I need to get a little bit of paint off of here before I start to see what I've got on here. That's problematic for me. I almost want to do this for a minute and go like that so I can maybe even like that. And go crazy and just hold this myself so I can see everything that's up there. I'm not liking how that's looking, so if I can. There's like a dark kind of little corner next to the eyeball, and I want to get that. There we go. Feeling like it's in the right spot. The edge of this shadow comes up and over. Maybe it comes to here, and it comes over and down. And a lot of this is middle value right along that edge, soft edge here. This is all turning. So if I go this way from top right to bottom left to soften it on that edge, and if it shows up as brush strokes, I can go the opposite direction and kind of stitch those together and soften them. That's how I'm softening that area. This feels a little long and big to me somehow. Maybe that. Let's see. Placement is fairly good, but I just feel like this space is big compared to the one that's on her face. But maybe I'll feel differently as I build it up a little bit more, a little darker right there. I forgot that I didn't have this held down, so I gotta get to it myself. I can put some extra pressure down and add some paint on there like that, and then I can pull across and soften it. And it's not quite so strong. And if I don't like that, I can feather it in the other direction too. But that's starting to feel like light here, core shadow, reflected light over here. This could probably be a little darker all along there. Questions as I'm working, thoughts, concerns about process. This one, it's messy, especially at the beginning, but as you go, it should be, you're not juggling a lot of things. It's either I'm putting brown paint on, or I'm pulling brown paint away, or I'm kind of softening it and then I'll go back and fix it. It's trying to keep as few things in your, I'm gonna move that in even another step. trying to keep things simple for you. Trying to. All right, that I feel better about. I do want to get more light on that front edge of the nose. Maybe I want to fix this part first, and then I'll go to that. A little bit underneath and a little bit on the outside there. It's a down plane for the lower lid. That's what I'm trying to put there. This guy's got the same thing here. All right, that's good. Maybe move this just over a little bit. There we go. It's too straight. I want to grab a rag. There's a part, there's like a bone in the middle, and it's of the nose. There we go. It's too straight and dark along there. So let's bring that down. There we go. Now we're back. So I wanted to do something with the eraser. So I'm going to grab that, and it's mostly, I'm looking at this edge of the nose, and where the light's coming down, it's hitting that edge of the nose. And just want to pull a little more paint away so that that feels brighter. And then when that gets a lot of paint on it, I can wipe it off. This plane right up here at the ball of the nose is facing towards the light almost perfectly, so it's brighter. And that doesn't look good. Sometimes when you use an eraser, the kneaded eraser won't do this. This is a hard eraser on a pencil, so it pulls some stuff up. But a kneaded eraser will not push. If you can look at the edge of that nose, let's zoom in, see if we can get a little bit closer. Maybe this is where we need to have it anyway. Something like that. Right at the edge, it's like pushing the paint, the dark brown paint, into the, you have the weave of the canvas, which is like a matrix of verticals and horizontals. But there's a little valley in between those weaves, and it gets dark. And this is like sitting right down inside there. And so it's looking like, I would say it kind of looks like pocky and not white and smooth. That's what I'm going for on this, is because it's a plaster cast. It's bright. It's got that lighter value to it. Can kind of use this as a softener or a blender. There we go. Where are we? We are moments away from 1 o'clock. This is a long thing to sit and watch. Hopefully if you needed to get a drink, or if you need to use the restroom or grab some lunch, you can do that. I want to go just a little bit farther on this, just because this is the point at which it starts to, I'm starting to feel more and more control over this picture. I feel better about the placement of some of the stuff, how things look, where they're at. I think it's starting to look more accurate. I think there's still like a slightly masculine look to some of this that I don't like, but I'm working on it. Maybe part of it's the nose. The nose is feeling kind of yeah. The outside edge feels flared out, I think. I don't want to do that. So hopefully you're getting the idea. So you're either adding paint in, you're pulling paint away. That's why this is the wipeout. It's a technique that's been used for hundreds and hundreds of years in different variations, being like some artists are going to, some of your old masters used a different color to do the same kind of concept. But you know, a lot of artists would do something like this to kind of set a little bit of something up. Then they would bring in their atelier workers, and they would come in and they would fill in a lot of the color. Then your master would come back and finish the last parts of the painting, and voila, it's off to Louis IV, and make sure to send the bill. Maybe I was thinking Philip IV, not Louis IV. Louis XIV. But he didn't have so much luck. Philip IV of Spain. He was your Baroque painter, patron. So his court painter was Velasquez. He had many, many paintings from Hieronymus Bosch to Titian, to like, he had the old Italian stuff because Spain was rich at that point and they controlled most of Europe. So he had Rubens, he had Rembrandts, he had Van Dyck, he had Velasquez was his court painter who eventually got knighted. And once he got knighted, he didn't really make any more paintings, which is sad to say. Hieronymus Bosch, a lot of those Baroque guys. I'm trying to think who's the Italian Baroque painter. Giuseppe Reni, some other ones, but there's lots of them. All right, let's do one more thing. I want to do one more thing, and then I may keep going, but I'm not going to make you keep watching. This has got plenty more. I can maybe like turn off our class stream, and I can just finish painting, and you can just watch back the video later. But what I want to do is I'm going to run upstairs really quick and grab some Q-tips. I want to show you what could a Q-tip do with some of this. So let me go get that really quick, and I'll be right back. All right, got my LaCroix also so I can not have another coughing attack. All right. The magic of Q-tips. Whoever knew it was going to be such a handy art tool? But if I put some pressure and I pull on that, I can get some of these areas to be just a little bit brighter. Once it gets all dirty, you know, set it to the side, put it in a plastic baggie or something, and you can kind of get rid of it. Also, do this way, I put a little bit of medium on here. So then if I want to pull some light right in here, you can use the medium side first, right? And you can see some of that moving around. Then I switch over to the dry side and I can feather some of that out and pull it away. Now that's white compared to some of the other areas. It really pulled a lot of that paint off. So we can do that in some areas where we need to brighten it up. Find a clean spot for pulling the paint away. You know, you have to have a light touch with this. Don't be too heavy-handed. Don't do it everywhere. Be ready to kind of smooth things out with your finger, with a brush, with a rag. Sometimes it doesn't help too much, but one area that I kept trying to get brighter is this top part of the nose and then down that front edge. It wasn't really working, but I bet now it will. And if I go too far, it's okay. I can pull out too much, then I can start to put a little bit back in again. Pull out a little bit more on the top part of this eyelid there. The medium way seems to be the one that's being the most effective for me right now. This cheek, I want it to lighten up a little bit. You can do this same thing with your brush. There's no reason you couldn't, but this might, you know, give you a nice small tool to get into a small area. You know, the little cardboard stick that's in underneath that cotton swab can work pretty well. A little bit down by the mouth here. A little bit on top of the cheek or the chin. The trick about doing this at this point is I start to pull some of those areas out, and I can immediately say, oh, I got to go through and adjust some of the values. A kneaded eraser will pull out similar to this. The trick is with the kneaded eraser, you start to kind of move it back and forth. It can pull some out, but then it's going to start to build up the paint and it'll start to deposit little globs. So you got to be careful. You pull out a little bit, then you take it and you knead it again, then you go back into it, and you can make it into a nice fine little point to get into some small areas if you need to. But this is a good stage to do this at. Everything's starting to get a little bit more definition. I can kind of make some more of the highlights stand out before I start to really focus in on those last values. So hopefully that all makes sense. And you're starting to see the different range of values, how this looks. I can get the highlight down here on the apple now, and it'll look the right value. If it's a little bit bigger than it needs to be, there we go. And this definitely looks like a highlight compared to the values down there. So I still need to draw and add some darker stuff to it. I still need to make some adjustments, but overall, you can see really quickly how this is changing the game for me a little bit and giving me some more range of value as far as what I can pull out. And let's even go through and use our brush to do this too, really quick before we end here. So that's how you would use a Q-tip. If I'm going to use I've got two brushes. One's my dark brush. This would be my light brush, but I'm not using it for anything right now. I can soften those edges and keep kind of wiping away my, get any extra off. But if I want to soften the edges next to these highlights, this brush is one of my best tools. So soft. I can just kind of tap at that edge and pull just a little bit. So tap and pull, and it's going to make that smoother and not feel so rough like the stick at the end of the whatchamacallit, Q-tip. So that's one way I can use this. It can pull up paint, it can blend some of this. So now it's all drying. Look at how even I can make that apple. That's starting to feel like the texture of an apple now, just by kind of pulling that paint that was in there. I can pull some of this down. So this is, instead of being my light brush, this has kind of become my blender brush. And I've got some paint on it. I'll clear it off. If I want to use this the same way as the other thing, tap my brush inside the medium, and I can kind of pull some of that on there. If it needs to be softened, then I clean it off, dry it off, and then I can kind of see that to me is working. I can also do sgraffito, the back side of my brush still. If I want to get that little edge that's reflecting, maybe I'm going to get a little medium and pull that paint away, pull a little more. Really trying to get the shine on the edge of that rim of the front edge of the can. All right. Hopefully that helps. I think that's about all I wanted to kind of show you for the moment. All I'm going to do now is go through and keep trying to, figure out, do I want to add some? Do I want to pull some away? That was a little bit too much, maybe right in here, maybe over here and down at the bottom. So then I clean off my brush and I can kind of pull some of that back. Some of that brown paint is going to move. I can even go back in with my rag and pull that up a little bit. Now that has a little bit more of that soft view, and I can even it out with my brush. And if it's not enough, clean my brush off again, pull away some more, or this little part here wants to get lighter for me. So I'll use the Q-tip to pull that up. This can get a little lighter or blend. Just be careful of the Q-tip as it starts to get rough. It can start to leave little cotton goobers all over your painting. You don't want that. Not yet. Maybe later. So I think that's all I'm going to do for today as far as this. I don't consider this done. I will keep pushing this probably till it's about done. It just needs some more darks, and I might need to come back, let this dry, and add my darks once this is dry, and almost kind of glaze them in on top of this. So that's kind of the other step that you would take. So I will give you feedback on your work in progress for the grisaille. Hopefully you can finish that by the end of the week and get started on this one. Remember that with this one, you want to give yourself enough time to kind of have a full session on it, an hour, hour and a half, something like that. And I do plan to try and send something to you in the email that talks about the question of the week. I'm still figuring that out. I thought I would get it this week, but I think it's going to be next week. So you can ask it now if you have a question you want to ask, but otherwise, I'll see you on Tuesday and we'll pick up on this. I might even demonstrate the next project because that's also a kind of do a lot at the first day too. Some of it came out too thick, even with a medium and some thinner in it. I'll have to take a look. What I would